All right, everyone. I hope that you can hear me okay. If you can, please let me know. And I'm gonna actually let me get my split monitors going on here because I want to share something with you all that I think you will appreciate. So I'm actually going to be doing a live resume critique, if you will. So um, the first thing is I just pulled a resume from Monster, and it's for a civil engineer. And I wanted to first of all look up the bottom and top pay for a civil engineer. So civil engineer pay range. Just wanted to look that up. So the average is 64, 7. I think those guys are making more money than that. Let's see what the range is. So I just saw something that said 84, make an hour. This looks like a little bit more accurate. Earned an average of 39.03, which I guess is okay, but I really wanted to get a range. So let's say $36.82 on the bottom end. Let's just say that's what it is. So it said the middle 50% of them made $36.82, which is about $77,000. And then on the top end, the average pay is about $39 an hour, which comes out to about 81,000. Now, what I want to show you guys is how, if this civil engineer came to me with the resume that I'm about to show you, how I would help him to max out at the top end of this. So he's got a little bit of experience, or let's say he was doing something kind of similar and he's interested in transitioning into becoming a civil engineer and then also making the good pay. So I wanted to give you an example of what this is going to look like. And I'm sorry, when I come back to the screen, I just want to make sure you guys are still with me. But let me pull up this resume because I want you guys to see that this is a perfectly fine resume. Now you can see this is for an entry-level civil engineer. Okay, so I just want to kind of skim through here. So he starts off with immediately his civil engineering experience. Cool. And then his education, again, great. He's been on the dean's list and course highlights, all good stuff. And then he goes into his professional experience. So let's see. So clearly he doesn't have a whole bunch of experience. So what about 5 years of experience? Not even 5 years of experience as a civil engineer. So if this were, let's just say, and you can see here that says the median income here on Monster is 84, so almost $85,000 a year. So I think there are some discrepancies, and it just depends on where you're pulling the data. But let me show you, if this is the median, that means that the top end is going to be a lot higher. I know some civil engineers, and I know they make more money. They make more than $85,000 a year. I mean, these guys are making well over 100,000. So let's just say you're working to max out at that over $100,000. The first thing that I would tell you, if you were, let's say when you do your initial career metrics therapy consultation with me, this is what you get without even having to pay for my program. I'm going to give you the secrets that you need, and you can apply them yourself, or you can work with me and we can work on implementing those, okay? So the first thing that I would tell this gentleman is you've got 5 years of experience. The first thing that I would do, Earl, is I would include at the top of your resume, I would include a career summary. You need to include a summary of all of your accomplishments for the last 5 years. No one wants to know that you've just been doing your job. These employers, like, clearly, if they've got a requisition out there, I mean, we can go look at any requisition and probably compare it against this resume, And I'm sure it's going to look equivalent to these requisitions that are out there. Okay, so how do you help yourself stand out? The first thing you do is not just represent in your resume that you've done your job. You want to demonstrate how well you've done your job. And how do you do that? Okay, that's what I'm telling you. So at the beginning of the resume, he's got 5 years of experience. What has been your total impact over the last 5 years? So let's just go down here, because the first thing, so look, so he's worked here at, you know, XYZ company, engineering firm serving government and commercial clients. So not only has he worked with government clients, he's worked with commercial. So I'm thinking of, okay, if you're working as a civil engineer for commercial clients, there has to be some revenue associated with it. Someone's engineering something so that someone can make money off of it, right? So the first thing that I would say is, okay, this first line here needs to, just like I'm saying at the top, needs to be a summary of the total impact of your career. In this position, your top line needs to be key accomplishments and total impact for that particular role. So it says assisted civil engineers on several key government projects involving roadway designs and improvement solutions, easing traffic congestion and replacement of deteriorating bridges. Okay, several government projects. Okay, so there was a dollar amount associated with that project. What was that project worth to the government? Like, okay, how, or better yet, how much did that project cost? So let's just say, I would imagine if it was several road design projects, we're talking about multi-millions, right? I would imagine. I mean, I don't know much about, I have supported and worked with government officials, but mine was focused more on technology. So I don't know how much it would cost to design and improve roads, but I would imagine it cost a lot of money. So let's just say he was involved in so what, 2-3 years, let's just say in a 3-year time period, that he was involved in 5 major projects. Each of them was, let's just say, $5 million per project. That was the cost of the project. Okay, the cost of the project was $5 million times 5, that's $25 million. I'm sorry, did I say 5? Yeah, so $5 million per project, 5 times 5 projects, right? So that's $25 million impact just on these government projects. All right. And then let me just say this. See, if I were actually working with him, and these are some of the things that I would do if he actually decided to become a client. What I do is teach him how to go deeper into the data, because, okay, so that was the impact, that was the cost of the project. Why in the world did the government want to improve these roads? What is it about? Because let me just explain something to you all. Do not be fooled into thinking that governments don't make money. They're nothing but big corporations. So they are spending money to make money. Let's be clear about that. So I would say, when I would tell him, if he were just starting this job, is from day one, when you start this new position, you need to be aware of the impact that you're having. So start asking questions like, you know, what when we finish this road, what is the impact of this project? How are these roads going to be used? What is going to be the impact to the government? Why are they doing this? You want to know that, because you want to know how what it is that you're doing is impacting, is having an impact. So when you start your next position, you can explain that to your future employer. Why? I'll tell you about that in just a second. But I would say, in addition to that, in your existing role, you want to be mindful of the impact that you're having, so that you understand your value and what it is that you're bringing to the table. See, there's a difference in how a valued employee is treated versus one that's not. And then you make sure you keep champions, and you make sure that you keep track of your key performance metrics, so that you can make sure your champions are out there advocating for you and making sure that you stay relevant. That's what I did. So, okay, so that's it for that. Handle cost of material estimations. Cost of material estimation, so the cost of projects needed to implement these projects here. Okay, so a cost of the materials, report and document tracking, project documentation, on-site. Okay, so why were you doing all of this? What was the purpose of you? So it's one thing for you to say you handled these things. Why were you handling and managing the reporting and tracking the cost of the project? Because let me just say this guy here is saying he's an engineer, but really what it sounds like is he's doing some project management. So as a project manager, it is your job to understand the beginning, like the vision for the project, okay, i.e. the road design or improvement, and making sure that one, that project goes over without any type of hitches, and two, that it happens within cost, that there's nothing that's going to come up like cost. We went over budget, those sort of things. And if there's opportunities to save money as well. So what I'm saying is, if you, as this guy here, is obviously doing more than just designing some, roads and improving roads or putting together the plans for it, he's also doing some project management as well. So let me just say this. He could easily transition into a project management role if he wanted to. And we'll talk about that maybe on one of our other calls. But my point in saying this is, he's not just managing reports, managing costs. You are doing this to make sure, like what I would add to the end of this, remember, you're always thinking about the impact of what it is that you're doing. You're not just randomly putting information in your resume saying, hey, I handled reports. Okay, who cares? Why were you handling reports? I was handling reports to manage the cost of the project, to make sure that the project was going over without any hitches. And I did that successfully on every project. So see, that's the thing too, is, okay, how well did you do on what it is that you were assigned to do? Well, on every last project, so I managed 5 projects per year. So and which, by the way, so 5 projects per year. So we said 25 million per year times 3. So that's $75 million for the course of, and I'm just doing some numbers here, you all. So over a 3-year time period. Okay, so we said 25 projects, 15 projects total over the course of the 3-year time period. How many of those projects did you manage, did you actually deploy? They were implemented successfully on time. See, those are the types of things that you want to include in your resume. Again, the key is, how well are you doing your job? What is the impact? Always be keeping that in mind when you're working on your resume, when you're applying for a job. That's how you need to sell yourself. You don't want to just go in the door talking about what you did. Talk about how well you did it and what was the impact of what you did. And then you want to follow up with something else that I typically give to my clients. There are 2 other key things that you would need that will help you to land that job, you all. And I promise you, nobody else will be doing that. This right here, what I'm giving to you right now, you all, these are nuggets right here. So I hope you're absorbing this. So anyway, remember the impact. No more just blanket statements about the fact that you managed the project. Nobody cares about that. What was the impact and how well did you do it? So how are you going to gauge how well you did your job? You're going to use data. Okay, so of the 15 projects that you managed over the course of the 3-year time period, 100% of the projects were deployed on time, within budget, and without any hitches. Okay, those are the types of things that you want to include in your resume that is going to help you stand out above and beyond anybody else that's going to be walking in the door. And especially when you have a couple of these other things and tools that I will be providing to you for you to get that job. This is how my clients are able to get the jobs, you all, and get the jobs paying more money. So how you go from, let's just say, I think it was $77,000 a year. How do you go from making $77,000 a year as a civil engineer to $100,000+ a year? Well, this is how you do it. You become a subject matter expert, and you become a subject matter expert when you are doing things effectively. You are actually implementing things that are actually working. Okay, so following the same patterns, I'm not going to go through this other position that he has here. It looks like he did some sales, which is awesome. So not only, so he's got sales, he's managing projects, he's I could probably look at some other things here. He's doing some reporting, And of course, he's doing his civil engineering job. So I would say this, depending on how well he's doing his job, there are a couple of things that he could absolutely do. So he could go into a sales, product manager role, actually. I would say product management role, account manager, customer success manager, business development manager, program manager. What else? I'm missing something here. Clearly civil engineering, but then I would say if he's doing his job well. So let's just say, going back to the statistics that we use. So of the 15 projects that he was involved in, 100% of those went over without any hitches. And let me just say this. So he's got the data and he's actually able to show how he was able to get those results. You all, this is how you take and advance your career. So now I just gave you a few type of job titles that he could transition into, right? In addition to that, he could also go into management, because now he's not only doing well at what it is that he does, he is mindful of, you know what, when you start moving up in rank, there's certain things that executives, I would say mid-management people and executive level individuals, mid-management, it actually goes up to a VP, but I still call them executives. Anyway, but that those individuals are going to be looking at that someone that is just working in a civil engineering role wouldn't. So what happens is, this is what I'm telling you, when you become a valued employee, is when you start understanding the language of the people who are making the key decisions in the company. So whether or not you're aware of what it is that they're going to be using to gauge whether or not you're going to get that job, or how much they're going to pay you, or even if you're going to stay within the company, these are the things I'm going to be sharing with you all. And so let me just skip back over here, because I want to see how you guys are feeling about the information that I'm sharing. Let me know something here, like what do you guys think about the info that I have shared with you thus far? If you can just comment. I'm just skip back off to this resume, because I wanted to go back to the initial piece of this that I was telling you about at the top of the resume, and that's including a career summary. So once we complete the analysis of each of his individual roles, then we would come back up to the top of his resume and include his career summary. And I would say, you know, so what I typically do with a career summary is I break it down by your core strengths, so that, like, no matter what, so that if you decided you wanted to move into different types of roles, it really kind of opens up the doors for you. So remember, I talked about him potentially going into a management role, him going into a sales account manager, customer success manager, project management, program manager. What else did I say? Clearly engineering role. And then the other thing is, too, he could become a recruiter. And by the way, you guys, recruiters make good money. Especially if you're going in the door as a subject matter expert, you're not going to start off as an entry-level recruiter, because now you would be recruiting other engineers. And who do you think they're going to want speaking with engineers? They're going to want someone that knows the jargon, right? That will know how to gauge who is a good engineer versus one that's not. Okay. So anyway, so again, what I would do is we break down the career summary into 4 to 5 core strengths. And I would say for him, I would say engineering. I would say program project management. I would definitely have sales in there. And let me see, what would be the other? Handling cost of materials. So I would say maybe data analysis, because it would either be finance or data analysis, because it looks like he's dealing with invoices and that sort of thing. So something around there to show that he is well versed, that he's able to handle multiple facets of I would say, a gamut of things within his scope. And so if he were applying for that product management role, as a product manager, it is your job to understand the products and services, to be able to articulate that to the client. And then also there would be maybe you're not selling, because you would have a salesperson that would sell, but you would have to have some sales type of, and clearly he's got sales background. So the other thing, let me just say this, for this role where he's talking about being a sales rep, cold called small businesses. Okay, well, you cold call them, then how effective were you at cold calling? Like, how many calls did you make a day? Of the calls that you made a day, how many actually turned into a sale? I mean, include that information in there. And then let's say you were there for 2 years. What was the revenue that you actually brought into the company? And how much of that is net? Let's just say year-over-year growth. So your first year, you brought in $2 million in sales. And then year-over-year, let's say the next year you brought in $2.5 million. So you want to say, what's that? A 100 or 25% year-over-year growth. What the heck am I talking about? You all, you got to get this. So a 25%. So not only did he hit his quota, so his quota is $2 million, but the next year he actually brought in an additional 25% in revenue from last year. These are the things that you need to know, you all, when you go into an interview. You need to be able to talk about yourself like this. This is how you're going to sit at a table with a prospective employer and say, yeah, I know you got a lot of other people. You got these millennials that are walking through the door that have these degrees, they're fresh, but let me tell you, I've got a track record of success, and I can tell you exactly how I got these results from my past employers. Let me show you what I actually did. Here's the impact. So over the course of my career, I have, in 5 years, I have had an impact of over $35 million for my past employers. And let me show you how I'm going to get you similar results, leveraging the same success model that I've been using for the last 5 years. Let's talk about it. I want to talk about what your business needs are, what your expectations are. What are some of the challenges that you've had with it within this role? Like, those are the type of questions that I would be asking you also. How do you turn now, and with some of the key career marketing tools that I provide my clients, I give them what it is that they need. So when they walk into an interview, they're empowered with the information to turn into the consultant. This is how you're going to get the job. You're already showing them, when you walk in the interview, how you're going to return their investment in you. They're already getting to see what you would do. No one else is going to be doing that. I can assure you of that. So with that said, you all, I'm not sure how long I've been on here, but let me go back to the main window, because I know I asked some questions here. So yeah, so hopefully you guys found the information very helpful and useful. I've been on here for like 23 minutes now. I'm going to go ahead and jump off. If anybody has any questions, if you would like to schedule your career metrics therapy consultation, please hit me up. It starts with you sending me your resume, and then I will review it, provide recommendations on what you can do to, kind of like what we just did just now, but it will be a little bit more, detailed, and it will schedule a consultation for us to actually go through the information and talk about what your goals are, your career goals are, whether or not you decide you want to, stay in corporate America, max out your career within corporate, or if you want to transition into entrepreneurship, so turn your expertise into a profit. So on that note, you all, thank you so much for joining, and I'm sorry, the person that just joined, thank you so much for your time. Please go back and watch this video. If you were not able to watch it, I just gave some nuggets. I mean, I'm tired of watching folks struggling. You don't have to struggle. Here are the answers right here, you all. And I'm giving you some priceless information, you all, right here. So on that note, I look forward to hearing from you all. Whatever you decide to do, be blessed and be at peace.